ask her if I can have her budget. I have it this time. Very good. I have my budget. We'll begin. You need a couple minutes?
I'm ready if you are.
Helen's not.
Helen needs 2 minutes? Okay.
So you want me to go back and reinstate it? You wanna go? It's up to you, me. How long you waiting for nothing? You wanna go, I'll go. I don't wanna go to a Who's there? Eddie? It's up to you. You think we're gonna enjoy it? You think we're gonna enjoy it? Yeah.
Mr. Biviano, are we good?
Yes, we're ready.
All right, thank you very much. We'll begin the budget review of the second half of the capital budget review. Is this an official, we probably should have a roll call perhaps, referencing the committee members present. If we could please have that, Ms. Biviano.
Sure. Would you like me to do the full council or just the Committee of Planning and Economic Development?
Probably just the committee, that's the only ones required, but
Fusco,
aye.
Kamer, Connor, Boys,
Aye.
Hannah. All committee members are present except for Councilman Kamer.
Thank you so much. Okay, we'll begin the second half of the capital budget, the exciting utility portion. Of course, we want to welcome Mr. Luddle, who everybody knows, Jenny Hanna from our Engineering Bureau, and of course, everyone knows Helen Tomic. So with that, we're going to turn this portion over to you all. So, Ms. Tomic?
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having us on the second day of the capital budget presentations. Today, we will review the sewer section of the budget and the water section of the budget, and we'll start off with sewer with Mr. Luddle and Ms. Hanna.
Very good, thank you. If we could, I see a number of subject matter experts behind you all. So if they're asked to speak, if you all can just provide us your name, we'd appreciate it because some of the newer members may not know. So with that, Mr. Luddle, turn
Thank
it
you,
over to you.
Mr. Chairman and all of council. As she said, this is the second day, and we're going to start with sewer. Do you want to go page by page in question? How do you want to do it, sir?
Yeah,
Or
just go
stop
ahead
us
and
whenever?
keep going.
Okay.
And I'm going to try to keep my head on a pivot and see if there's questions,
Okay.
and I'll interrupt.
So the first item is the Case Avenue parking lot. We do have a little discrepancy. I think they added a zero. These are closeout costs. This is only $20,000, and that'll be reflective in the addendum for the project. This, as you remember, was part of the 5-7 basin, and we swapped land for the parking lot. We built the basin where the parking lot was for battered women, and this is just closeout charges. That project's totally completed.
It's 20K.
$20,000.
Thank you.
Yep. Combined sewer overflow real-time control. This is something we've done since 2017, and we leverage our whole system now that we have all these. We have one tunnel online, all the basins. We are actually, as in a storm, when we call it real-time, we're managing the dewatering and letting some of these fill to maximize our system to reduce overflows, and it's worked out very well. So this is just another year of that real-time control. Next is our CSO program management team. Our management team manages the implementation of all the combined sewer overflows. They manage our consent decree filings. They manage our All Akron Student Engineering program. They also manage some of our tracking, our monthly tracking, our bonfire system for bidding. All that is run through this CSO program. The 5-year CMOM, we've talked about this at length, is where we TV and clean every mile of our combination and our sanitary sewer system. We've completed 15 full years, so this will be the first year of year 4 of the fourth cycle. It'll take us through 2029. We always kind of front load this program where we will try to TV and clean 25% of our system this year with these funds. Next is the Cauga Street Storage Facility disinfection. Obviously, that basin is 9.5 million gallons. It was put into operation in the early 2000s. We are looking to add disinfection to the last cell before it overflows to the river to not only maximize our OSIT tunnel, but obviously when we get the new tunnel online to reduce overflows into the river. But if we have those storms greater than the typical year and it does overflow, this will add some disinfection. We have done a pilot, but part of this is our Fourth Amendment. So as you know, we are working to eliminate the high rate treatment at the end of the tunnel. And by being able to do this, it would help our case even more. So good. With that, that will not happen unless we are successful in the Fourth Amendment. The next is the high rate treatment. In the event we do have to design this is design only money. We will know probably later this year if we're successful in the federal court on this amendment. Next is the Northside Interceptor Tunnel. I think all of you are familiar with that. That project is going very well. The most of all the surface work is completed. They're finishing a couple of the drop shafts. The smaller tunnel that parallels Peck Road, that is the 8-foot diameter tunnel. The company they started mining a couple weeks ago, and then our large tunnel machine, the 16.5-foot diameter machine, has arrived from Germany. It's being assembled as we speak, and we hope by the end of February, early March, it will start its mining, and obviously it'll go all the way to Front Street, the old Gorge Power Plant. The next is the Ohio Canal Interceptor Tunnel. Those are closeout charges from the tunnel we completed a few years ago. Next is a Riverside separation. There again, this is part of the North Side project. We did have an amendment number 3, which we were successful with, to separate the sewers, what we call the Riverside sewer separation. There's like 10 streets up in North Hill that we added new storm sewers, kept the combination as sanitary. There is a rack still in place or an overflow structure that has not overflowed, so this has been in service, so it's operating very well. And obviously, when you do a separation, it's elimination forever. Doesn't matter the size of the storm. You don't have any more combination in that district. Next is our, do you want to stop there or you just want to keep going?
Is there any questions from anyone? I'm trying to keep, no, just
Okay.
keep going.
Next is sanitary sewers. This is the Britton Road Pump Station. This is on the north end of Britton by the mall. This is a pump station that we have that we're going to do a rehab or rebuild. We're going to keep the building, but it'll be kind of like we've done in water, new doors, new windows, all new pumps, all new controls, state of the art. So that will happen later this year.
Is that located on, where's that located?
On Britton, like going down, you know where the old Rick Case is?
Yes.
Down in that area.
Okay, that's what I thought, on
Yep.
that side.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Next is flow monitoring rain gauges. This is an annual thing we do. We have like 13 rain gauges throughout the city, and this helps with our real-time control, but we actually have flow monitors in the sewers so we can see the level of the flow in these sewers, so that tells us we can dewater a basin or dewater the tunnel. We're always monitoring the level so we don't surcharge those sewers. Next is the Hawken District sewer improvements. This is a carryover project. We are looking to remove a lot of the I&I in this district, so we are looking to rehab some of the sanitary trunk sewers, the manholes, and some of the laterals in this system. Next is miscellaneous collection system improvements. These are improvements including commercial sewer laterals, replacement, and at the water reclamation facility, and also we run our equipment replacement program through this line item down for the operation of not only WRF, but sewer maintenance also. Next is miscellaneous sanitary emergency improvements. Unfortunately, if we have a cave-in, this line item allows us to go in there, hire a contractor. If we have a caved-in street or a collapsed sewer, we go in and we fix them. Obviously, if we have none, knock on wood, we won't, this line item will not be used. It'll just stay in sewer capital for next year, yes. Next is sanitary sewer force main replacement. We have Fairlawn Knolls Pump Station. Those are all off of Thurmont over on the west side. Obviously, those streets are lower than the gravity sewer on Thurmont. So these force mains, even though we may have rebuilt some of these pump stations, they're all about 60 years old. They were put in the 60s and they're old cast iron pipe, and we're looking to replace those force mains before they fail. Next is sanitary sewer reconstruction. The next three, actually, they're all lining projects. All these projects, we do bring back to you as we bid them. So you've seen these lining projects for the last couple years. The first one is from the 2021 large diameter. These were all funded through OPWC. So sometimes when we do the CMOM program and we identify a point repair or a major reconstruction, on some of these streets, we apply for OPWC money, and it's a couple years out. So we apply, this was from the 21-year program. We apply for OPWC, and usually we're pretty successful if we don't have to open up a road and they let us line the pipe. So instead of a major reconstruction of a street, we'll get OPWC funding, which typically we don't pay back to line those sewers. So 21, 23, and 24, these are all pretty much carryover projects, but 2024, these projects will be bid later this year for either lining or spot repair. Next, we have the 2025 program. This is just starting, so we are applying for OPWC funds, and this construction may start later this year, but most likely this construction won't start into 26. The reconstruction of those. And then sanitary sewer reconstruction in 2026. These are design projects that we've identified. So they'll be designed in 25. We'll be applying for OPWC second half of this year, and those projects won't start till next year. And then 27, these are just preliminary design costs. for future reconstruction of our sanitary sewers. Shoreline pump station improvements, this is out in Kenmore. This is a carryover project. This is another rehab of a pump station. This to increase capacity in that pump station. We're hoping that planning will be successful in the old school to build some houses out there, and this will be a needed improvement for that extra capacity if that residential development goes in. But we need it anyway, so this is a needed thing. It's time to rebuild that pump station. Springfield trunk sewer lining. These are just, this is closeout costs from this year. There's about 3,500 feet of 33-inch sewer that was lined. They're finishing up, and this is funded through the Water Pollution Control Loan Fund.
Chris, what's the CIPP lining process? What does that stand for?
Cured in place. So
Okay.
it's, when you line it, you cure, it's that, well, something like a balloon, but they inject sometimes steam and it just cures in place.
Good, thank you.
Yep.
So some of the acronyms we need to.
Yep.
We're not all of us are on.
It's not capital investment, I can tell you that. It's cured in place.
Gotcha.
Storm sewer systems, Castle Boulevard, we brought this to you a few weeks ago, where we have some storm sewer. It's failing that slope. Metro Parks is purchasing a home and demoing it, and we're going to pay our cost, but this is to rebuild the sewer system in that area. Storm sewer, I'm sorry. Delaware Avenue, this was a project that we added some storm sewer to Delaware. And there was assessments that the property owners did pay. They had some flooding in the backyard, so they paid for their own sewer. And then we just extended a piece of our storm sewer to pick up those sewer laterals. And these are closeout costs. That project has been completed. Next, miscellaneous storm sewer improvements. These are emergency only. This is just like the other emergency. If we have a cave-in of a storm sewer, that we would have to go in and do an emergency repair and hire a contractor, especially if we have a closed road or something like that. Portage Path culvert improvements. This is going down, this is Portage Path right at Sand Run Parkway. They have done some improvements to their culvert. Well, we have a 62-inch storm just past that intersection where Metro Parks just redid theirs, and this will be a lining project, a spray lining project. We've been very successful about doing this, so this will be done. We're going to bid it, and construction will be probably this summer before we get to it. Annual plant and pump station renewal. This is just miscellaneous improvements to the facility, including, this could be electrical upgrades, roofs, that type of thing. This is a line item that we put in there for our renewable energy facility and also our plant and our little pump stations. Renewable energy facility polymer system improvements. This is going to start in a couple months. This has already been bid. This is going to upgrade the polymer system. We currently have polymer tanks inside the building over at the renewable energy system. They're all flat bottom tanks. They're way past their useful life. So this will upgrade that whole system. And I'm really hoping that all the work we've done there in the valley, we're getting close to wrapping it up at least for a few years. Right, Rob? Yes, he said.
Is that a promise or?
So we've done a lot of work. I mean, you've seen a lot of cranes as you drive on AP Road or Riverview, but this is one of the last projects. So we feel very confident this is going to help us, and digesting all that sludge and not going to a landfill. It's been a good partnership with them for the last probably 20 years. Process control system. This is something that we've worked on with ProTech and AECom. We brought this to you. So this is just a carryover project of replacement of the control system, process control system at the plant. Next is WRF headworks improvements. These are closeout charges. This is one of those big projects. This last money, that was about a $55 million project, and these are just closeout costs this year. What did I skip? Oh, I'm sorry. WRF secondary treatment process, electrical improvements, yes. This is a carryover project. This is to upgrade the electrical system down there, replace the motor control center and the backup power. I could have brought Tom Smith, but I know we are under a time limit, so he could explain it to the kilowatt. But trust me, this is needed also. So
We do.
so that's it for sewer. We'll take some questions before we go into water. Before I let Jenny go and bring Mr. Banowski up
I
here.
think we're good. Thank you, Jenny.
I think
Banowski.
everybody
Jeff
knows Mr.
Banowski.
Banowski, yes. Hit
Good
that-
afternoon,
hit-
Jeff
hit that-
Banowski.
Hit that button.
Good afternoon, Jeff Bernowski. I'm responsible for drinking water operations for Akron. It's a pleasure to meet the new council members. Happy to be here. Thank you.
Okay, so the first project we have, and I mean, I don't want to take for granted, just to let everybody know, you know, we serve about 300,000 people in water, all of Copley, parts of Hudson, parts of Cauga Falls, all of Stowe, all of Talmadge. So when we talk about some of these other projects in these other districts, when we're outside the city, those customers, they pay the Akron rate plus, and some of them share taxes with us. Talmadge and Stowe are master meter, so we just supply them water, and then they take care of their whole system. But in Copley, parts of Fairlawn, parts of Mogador, if the water line breaks, then we have responsibility, and the agreements are a little bit different. Sometimes we fix the water main, they fix the street. Sometimes we do it all. So, but they pay that differential with their fees to cover those costs. So first one here, Copley Township, Copley Road Water Main Extension under 21. I think we brought this to you a few months ago, this project. It will be starting construction in probably April. It's about a 6 to 8 month project. We're extending our water main under 21, which will help us loop 2 different sides of the west side of 21. Right now, we have areas when we have a water main break and we have to shut a line down, we lose multiple customers and they have no way of getting water. This will help us loop a whole system, so if we lose one water main, we could shut a valve off and refeed them from the other way. One, it gives us redundancy, and it's so much better for water quality. Next page is the Copley Township Portage Lakes Water Main Extension. We brought this one to you. It's under contract. Part of Portage Lakes, like behind Rose's Villa Inn down there off of Portage Lakes Drive, all those houses back there, we have worked with them. They were all on wells. And we heard like just terrible stories about them not having enough water to even flush toilets. So we went to the state, and Jeff really worked hard on this with Ohio EPA we got funding. So this project is about a $7 million project. 53% is principal forgiveness. In other words, we get those funds back from Ohio EPA, and then the other 47% are paid by the residents with their tap-in fees. So even though all this is in the budget, this is all funded by others, not by Akron ratepayers. And this is going to add a lot more customers to us. And really, our electric bill up in Kent, you're not even going to see a blip, but this is going to add a lot of customers and increase water quality down in that district. So it was a good partnership with Ohio EPA to get this done. Next is Springfield Township, US 224. This is another water main extension. This will allow us to supply more water, and what this will do, by tying in this pump station way out past the bowling alley on 224, this will help us balance water all the way back into our district, all the way up to like Emmett Road and Kelly, to get water all the way back there. Sometimes that area is high, and when we have high demands, our pressure drops. Not so much our volume, but our pressure drops. So this extension will help us equalize that area all the way back there into our district. Next one is Archwood Pump Station improvements. This is a carryover. This is going to be completed this year. This is a rehab of the pump station right there on Archwood, and it's real close to Fire Station 8 on Archwood. It's that pump station and it's on Kelly there. This is just the same thing. Doors, windows, pumps, controls, upgrade the whole thing. Roof on that. Next is Britton Road Reservoir Replacement. This is a big one. We've been talking about this for years. You know, we were looking to get funding for this. I know Sharon's been very excited about this, so the design is done. We will bid it in the spring. This is going to be about a 2-year project, but we're really excited to get this one going up there for that area of Goodyear Heights. And that helps balance water all over the system too. The Talmadge High Boys in that system, all the way out, all the way through downtown and all the way out to Talmadge. This is very important. And being over 100 years old, it's time to replace this. Next is our meters program. We talked about that a little bit ago. We're on the tail end. Yes, sir.
If I could, that's going to be bid when about?
This spring?
Yep, this spring. The next is our meters program. As we talked about earlier, we're about that last 6,000 meters that we're purchasing directly. The contractor has about, I think about 11 on hand. So we're down to the last 17,000, get those installed and then finish that project up. Next is force main rehab. It's replacement of 600 feet of the original 1912 force main. Now, when I say force main, this is one of our main lines, our 48-inch coming from Kent. So this is going to be a big project. We will bid that first half of this year, and we'll look to get that under contract second half of the year. So this is up by Fairchild and 59 is where we identified a section of pipe that the wall thickness on that old force main is it's not what it used to be. There's some wear in it. So we want to get this replaced before we have a problem.
I thought we had done that in the 90s.
Yep.
Correct.
So this is that.
Another piece, not the same piece. It's-
Okay, I was going to say, this is obviously not the same.
Yep.
But, okay, well, how much of that did we do all together? Like, as a percentage, say, I wouldn't hold you to it, obviously, but in terms of that project and where we're at, is like 80% of it been replaced in the last 25, 30 years, or?
I'd say closer to 90% of it's been
90, okay.
replaced. So there's only probably about 4 miles of original line that remain in
Okay.
service from the
Yeah.
water plant into Akron.
Yeah, that's why I'm just kind of finding this as a surprise, because I had thought that we had done all that work back in those
Correct.
days, so.
We have a 54 and a 48
In a 48, correct.
inch pipe.
Okay, thank you.
Next is the Hawkins Avenue water main extension. We brought this to council a little bit ago. This is down by Mud Run Golf Course. This is extend down Hawkins from Morris all the way down to Jason. And there again, we had 2 dead-end mains. By connecting this piece, it'll help us not only with water quality, but also more redundancy in case we have a water main break.
Good.
Next is Kenmore Boulevard, 28th Street, water main connection. We have to bore under the tracks about 280 feet of water main at 28th Street. There was an old meat packing plant years ago. You don't remember, your dad remembers it. But anyway, we had it went through the right of way, and we have an old piece of pipe. So it's in design. We hope to bid it probably in a couple months or second half of the year and get that replaced, because there again, it's a failed line that we need to get replaced for more redundancy and water quality. Lead service replacement program. I'm going to turn this over to Jeff, because this is really a highlight of what has happened in the Water Bureau, especially in recent years.
Yeah, so Councilman Fusco introduced us as exciting water and sewer projects, and this, to me, is one of the most exciting projects that we've had in our recent history. Dating back to about 1964, there were 50,000 homes in the city of Akron served with a lead service line. Today, we have 1,601. That's the exact count we have right now. With this line item, budget item, it will remove 1,500 of those 1,601 in 2025, and then the remaining are going to be done with the water main replacement projects that are also in the 2025 budgets, to where in 2025, Akron will be able to announce that we're lead-free, which across the nation, there are very few, you can count on one hand, that developed during our timeline in the early 1900s, during the Industrial Revolution, that can say that they're lead-free. Cleveland has well over 100,000. Columbus has tens of thousands. Cincinnati, Dayton, Toledo. So we are very, very proud of this. And what we're also proud is that we were able to get a lot of outside funding to support this effort. It hasn't simply been done with the ratepayers. We were able to get H2O Ohio grants of $5 million. We were able to use some city ARPA money, and then we were able to get the 53% principal forgiveness on loans to the tune of, we've gotten $17.9 million in principal forgiveness on 40-year loans at 0% interest. So it's an amazing story. It can be attributed to many, many decades and generations before us of city council, of public utilities administration, of city administration, and I guess a lot of work was done in the last 5 years by the previous and the current administration to put us in this position right now. And we're just fortunate to be the ones to be able to announce this and celebrate it. So I'm just proud to be in
It's
this
huge.
situation.
And we've been hearing his progress. Mr. Ludell, of course, has been updating us periodically whenever we go over the budget, whenever we have something to approve in terms of this. And we've been cheering you guys on for years and years. And I'm sure, I'm saying this with tongue in cheek, but this is going to be on the front page of the Akron Beacon Journal. I'm being sarcastic. I wish they would put it on the front page.
We'll do everything
because it's a
in our
good
power to make it
story.
happen.
Like you said, it's a great story.
Yeah.
And so it has been generations of people who've seen this through. So,
Correct. So,
and you guys are the closers.
yeah, so
congratulations
thank you for all the support on this. Appreciate it.
Yes, thank you.
Oh yes. Now we have a question.
Yes. Which section of the city still have these 1,601 lines? Which section of the city?
They're pretty much across. I mean, there's certain. So we found that homes that were constructed or water mains that were installed prior to 1930 is where lead services were installed. Okay, so if your ward has homes that are 1930 or prior, then there at one point was a lead service. We're very, very confident of that. So there's some neighborhoods, some wards that didn't have homes. Like for example, the Ellett neighborhood, there may have been 10 homes prior to 1930. So we don't see very many, and in some cases there are none left. But it's in the older parts of Akron that they're, for the most part, they're concentrated on a street. You don't necessarily see one on this street and one on that street, another street. They're concentrated on, so you may have 5 or 10. And we've done a great job, especially since the resurfacing efforts have increased dramatically, to get out in front of resurfacing, because we didn't want to have a street resurface and then all of a sudden come out and replace lead services, and now you have all these patches. So we've coordinated really well within public service to eliminate that from happening. Now that we're towards the end, we can't guarantee that's not going to happen here at the end, because we do have this goal and intend to be completely done by 2025. But there is sporadic throughout the older portions of Akron is where we find these lead services.
And one thing that I didn't understand when I first came in and we started looking at this program, I'd call Jeff and John Moore, the service director, and I'd say, I'm looking at some of these streets, and obviously I'm looking at, let's just say North Hill. And right off Cuyahoga Falls Avenue, you have Berwyn, Avon, Chalker. And you're thinking, Chalker has 0 from this block to that block, but Berwyn has 7, and Avon has 12. Well, what happened previous to us, when they did a CD project, community development, and they rebuilt the street, new curbs, new lawn strips, they put a new water main in, and they said, when we do that, you got to get the lead out. And that's what happened. in the 90s. They went through, when they put a new water main in, they took the lead. They knew enough back then to take these things out. But, you know, we have a list. We have them all under contract. So they're just be going neighborhood to neighborhood. And we've tried to take some smaller contractors and give them a $50,000 contract, and just to, you know, keep them in one area to reduce their mobilization. So we have 5 of those, and we have 3 big contracts, and they're all under contract, and they're doing them now. I mean, you know, this weather really doesn't bother them, but you're gonna see a lot more when the weather breaks of going out there and replacing these lead services.
One more question. Are there any minority contractors doing that?
I believe there are. Is Green Mile one of them? I don't know, we'll get you that answer, but yes, I believe there are. We reached out to a bunch of small contractors and had them out to we took them out to a site where we were doing one to explain to them what they needed, because this isn't something where you need $5 million worth of equipment. You know, you need a small machine, and a lot of small contractors, this is their bread and butter. So, but we did have to bid them, but I'll get you that answer. You're welcome.
Thank you. Further questions? Tina Boyes?
Sorry, I'm moving back a little bit. I had
No
a question
problem.
about the 2 water main projects in my neighborhood. Just wanted some clarification, and this is something I probably should have asked when this came to us for the first time, but the 8-inch main on Hawkins, how did we determine that number? Because I feel like we had a much larger one in the past planned for that area, and it's considerably smaller.
The feet or the price?
The 8-inch versus a 16-inch or 12-inch. Do we know how we got to that?
I mean, we're just looping those 2 mains. I'll get you that answer, but we took the main, there was no water main on Morse at all.
Right.
So the engineers, they looked at what's it gonna take to loop this main and service this neighborhood if we have to shut it off at Morse or if we have to shut it off at Jason.
Gotcha.
And they felt 8-inch would be enough to service it either way.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
My other question about the Kenmore Boulevard one,
Mm-hmm.
similar question. How do you determine if it's an 8 or 12-inch?
Should we answer?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have a hydraulic model that we use that will look at the demands in that area and the pressures in that area and determine what the most adequate size is. So, you know, you always don't want to go larger simply because it can become, it's obviously a little higher price, as well as it becomes a water quality issue if there's not enough water to move through there. So the optimum size is based on modeling efforts that we do.
Got it. Thank you.
And it says 8 or 12 because we're still in design.
Got it. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Very good. Good questions. Anyone else? Okay, good. You can move forward.
Okay, next is the North Summit Supply Main on Hudson Roar Road. We did bring this to you. We're extending a 12-inch water main. This is just north of the Turnpike. There again to increase volumes all the way up to Twinsburg. One of our largest water customers is Coke up there, and this is to give them more water, especially in the summertime when there's higher demand on the system. The next is North Summit Arbor Wood Water Main Replacement. This is a carryover project. This replaces about just under 800 feet of 8-inch. It's critically break area. This work will begin in the spring. Next is the pump station improvements for Quail. This is a full upgrade, same thing, leave the building, replace the roof, replace the windows, replace all the controls and the pumps. This project will start sometime in spring of this year, 25. The next 3 are our water main replacements. 24, it's a carryover project, and then 25, it's our annual replacement, and 26. So as Jeff said, we look at our critical break history on these, and we bundling them together with the budget. We always apply for funding, hopefully to get low interest loans. And then we, as we do these water main replacements, if there's lead services, we remove them, and all 3 of these programs will have some lead service replacements in them. We're not leaving the lead if we're going to replace the water main. The last one on the sheet is the Wheeling and Lake Erie Railroad water main. We have a water main, 12-inch water main that's had some breaks. It's at Gilcrest and Darrow Road. This is over by Mac Concrete. If this thing would fail, obviously we would have a problem underneath those railroad tracks. So we're going to be proactive and put a new 12-inch main before that happens. Now we're going to go on to the water plant. The first one is the backwash pumps rebuild. This is removing, rebuilding, and reinstalling the 2 vertical turbine pumps for the backwash system. So as you know, we have all those filter bays up there, and as those filters, it's all electronically controlled. As you see, as those filters start to build up and you can't get the flow through them, it shuts down a valve and then it injects air and it backwashes these filters to allow it to go, the flow to go back through them. Next is fluoride and hydrochloric acid replacement. This is a carryover project. This thing will start, it's all ready to go. I don't think we've bid it yet, have we, Jeff? No, we're going to bid it, and this will start in the second half of 2025. High service pump valve replacement and limited torque manual valve replacement. This is on our mains going out, and this will prevent the water. If in the event we have to shut a pump down, you can imagine you have this volume of water going down the system and a pump shuts down, it's going to come flowing back on you, which would cause one heck of a water hammer. These will prevent that from happening, these new valves, and they're long overdue. Next is high service pump discharge header surge valves. In the event we'd have that surge come back, these valves would open and it relieves water right there at the pumping station. What they do is they relieve right out into the ditch, right? They just to it like a storm sewer. So instead of hammering back into the plant or to the valve, the pump station we call it, it opens a valve and relieves that water out to the system. Next is miscellaneous plant improvements. These are just an annual reoccurring improvements we do to the plant. Raw water intake valve replacement. This is replace and repair of existing raw water intake. These are the original intakes, which are over 100 years old. So this is long overdue. We've identified this in our asset management system. So this will take care of those valve on. Just all we're doing is, this is first phase, right?
Yes.
Yes, this is the first phase. Next is sediment basement HVAC. You know, our sediment basements, we have some basins that are outside. We have the 2 inside. Right there as the water comes off the dam. We brought this to you, probably 6 months ago. This is going to upgrade all the ductwork that's failed in the system. So this is for basins 3 and 4, correct?
This is for basin 1 and 2.
I mean, basin 1 and 2, right. Next is sodium hypochlorite feed system. This is in design. We'll bid it yet this year, and we'll probably start this project in the second half of this year. Next is water plant, water main upgrades. We have to use any of the potable water at the plant, to get chlorine content, the water has to go out and come back. We can't take the water right off the pumps because of the chlorine content. So this will allow us to improve the potable water at the plant for showers, for drinking water for our plant employees. Next is the watershed, East Branch Dam improvements. This is design and for improvements. These were identified by ODNR and Army Corps through inspections. This is a mandated thing. And most of the improvements we're going to do to East Branch this year are drainage improvements in and around the dam. Like I said, those were identified by ODNR. And then the last is the miscellaneous spillway improvements. These are just miscellaneous improvements to our various dams, whether it's Rockwell or Mogador or Ladue. So these are just mostly concrete repairs around those dams. identified again by our asset management system. And with that, we'll take any questions.
Very good. Any questions from anyone? Mr. Hanna, he always has a question. Welcome.
The water and sewer total is $218,990,270.
Yes, sir.
And the total 2025 capital investment and community development program is $368 million. Why is the water and sewer almost as much as the investment and community development program?
Well, we tried to get more, but Steve wouldn't give it to us. Unfortunately, sewer's a big one of that, the 144, and a lot of it's mandated by our consent decree, unfortunately. You figure a tunnel's 200 million, right? So unfortunately, that number is mostly because of our consent decree, and it's been this way for 10 years. Yeah.
It's I believe they call it enterprise fund.
Yeah.
And so it's like the water collection from your bill goes to water, and the sewer goes to the sewer department, and it's spread out. Mr. Fricker's much.
I mean, I think one of the things we want to point out is that it's not a matter of taking that $368 million and all of it can be invested in any area. All of this specific water and sewer funding comes from the federal government. We get it from funding sources that are dedicated to water and sewer projects. So we couldn't take some of that money and put it in parks or things like that. So just keep in mind that those funding sources are dedicated for water and sewer.
Good question.
Yeah, like I said, that Portage Lakes extension, I know it was only a few million, but it's all funded by others, but it's in here, right? So 53% is Ohio EPA, the other 47% is paid by those Portage Lakes residents. So it's not a real big example, but that's how some of this is managed.
Tina Boyce has a question.
Thank you. Mr. Fricker, we might need you again. My question has to do with the JED funds. I'm just curious, how do we monetize the services provided compared against what income we get as far as tax revenues go? How is that shaking out? I'm just curious. Is it a one-to-one? Are we gaining something off the top? How does that work?
It's a good question.
So in terms of, when we did the JEDs initially, we, did huge capital improvement projects in order to put the water and sewer lines into each one of the 4 township districts. In exchange, there are income tax revenues, that the city receives, because we formed the JED. So I think that those income tax dollars have been very beneficial to the city. So I think that we are, it really was a good deal for Akron. It was also good for the townships because, Akron is not annexing those parcels as it was, during the 80s. Akron annexed a lot of property within the township. So that's why it was regarded as kind of a win-win for everyone. But I think it answered your question. The income tax revenues that we have received from the JED districts have been very much worth it for Akron.
So basically, if I may.
Yes.
So we're actually spending less on servicing them than we receive in income taxes. Is that what you're saying?
No, I would say with their rates they pay, the Akron Plus rate,
Okay.
Even Hudson, some of those Hudson projects, Hudson has a surcharge each customer pays to pay for those capital improvements. So that's how they're paid.
I see.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Very good. Thank you. Very good. Any questions? Any further questions or comments? I also want to applaud Helen Tomic. I saw page 41, which I kind of had asked questions about for years and years, and Helen would bring that forward. So thank you very much for bringing that forward and publishing that. I think it's very
I can't take
beneficial
credit
for all of
that.
us.
I can't take credit for that. That was the mayor did that.
You're obviously not a politician. We take credit for pretty much anything we can get. But Well, thank you anyways. Thank you, Mayor. Anything else
I just
before we close?
touch on dates.
Timing.
So January 20th, next Monday, is Martin Luther King Day.
Yes.
We will not be in session. January 27th is when the public hearing is scheduled, and we will have a substitute amendment introduced on January 27th as well.
Okay.
So then we would ask for passage either by February 3rd or February 10th. Please keep in mind that per city charter, this document needs to be approved by February 15th.
Yes, thank you. And as previously mentioned, please, if you have any ideas, questions, anything whatsoever, we have a lot of firepower on the other side over there who can answer those questions. And we can talk about, if there's adjustments or what have you. We could talk through all of that, and we've done that before, and we'll probably do it again. But please bring that forward to leadership of council, to Helen Tomick, to obviously Kyle Julian. And thank you all for your patience in getting through this. Thank you, obviously, everyone from the city side. You guys don't get enough thank yous out there for everything you do on a daily basis. Thank you. Anything else? With that, we're adjourned. I'll turn it over to Sarah if you have an announcement for our 6:30 meeting or not.
Yep, we will meet in regular session at 6:30. Thank you.